This episode is sponsored by DistroKid, and I'll have more information about them at the end of this video. We're going to look into how we can trick your brain into both being productive and enjoying new perspectives of the composition process. If you do just some of these things in the list, you're going to come away from this video fired up with inspiration to get out of your comfort zone and take your music into new directions. Let's dive into it. Let's explore some techniques that will help you reignite that creative spark. I want to dive into arguably some of the most beneficial stuff right off the bat. Creating music in a space that isn't your bedroom, isn't the studio, isn't that place that you normally create, is going to get you out of that stagnant mindset. It's also going to genuinely get you to think differently. It's going to reprogram your brain. You're going to be presented with new inspirations, but also new problems too. So you're probably going to create music in a way that you haven't thought of before. You might not have the comforts of your home studio setup. I mean, we did just speak about changing your physical environment, but also change your DAW. Changing your digital environment will also get you to think about music creation differently. And there's a ton of free options out there as well. You don't have to buy anything. So this is BandLab. It's absolutely free. And inside this software, I wanted to create an early 2000s inspired beat. I had to go about creating the drums just through my iPhone samples. And then, of course, from there, I'm thinking, how am I going to use these different software instruments to create the sounds that I want to make up this song? Come on. So I know the thumbnail of this video said gamify beat making, but it doesn't mean you need to dig out Music 2000 again. But to take inspiration from that same decade of games, why not introduce time trials? I know I mentioned time trials in my last video as well. Check that out if you haven't seen it already, but I love using a timer. Now again, resist becoming a little bit too outcome driven. That's maybe setting you up for failure, but try your best to get a groove down in 5 to 10 minutes. That's going to eliminate some of that perfectionism or overthinking that you apply to crafting tracks. Similarly, try utilizing the Pomodoro method. This is going to extend the appetite you have for music creation and reward you with some moments to take healthy breaks too. I use this inside my routine template, which can be found at the Patreon, by the way. I find having a timer inside Ableton ensures that I don't just ignore it and carry on working, but it also isn't my phone, so I won't be tempted to get distracted when my alarm goes off to then start doom scrolling. Try that one out. I think you'll be surprised with how much you get done. How you play your instrument can be a huge part of things too. A trick that I adopted that I still use to this day is rearranging how your instrument performs. Here with the electric kit, I've changed the ride cymbal to the kick drum, the snare to the hi-hat, and the hi-hat to the snare. So now I have to really concentrate and bring a little bit of fun to my playing. I'm having to think so hard about this, but of course you can do it with any instrument. Switching up your instrument entirely, or if you're a guitarist, turning it upside down, transposing the keyboard. I'm not a guitarist, but thankfully my buddy Kalen lent me his guitar. Now this is an 8-string and he's left-handed, so it's overkill and I'm completely thinking about this guitar differently. Let's see what we can come up with. That was so much fun. Heck, you don't even have to be a world-class player. You can just sample a few of the notes. It doesn't even have to be a professional instrument. Sample anything that makes an interesting sound. So this is the sound we started with. Add some reverb to that. And then add it to a new sampler instrument. I'm showing my age. I'm from the LimeWire era of music, an overwhelming boom of pirated music, software and movies. It was a time when I was ravenous to digest anything remotely musical. Sometimes we lose that along the way, but remember the internet still exists and most websites have a free trial period. Figure out what you like to use and what sparks your creativity. Basically, create without being results driven. Clevgrand have been piquing my interest of late. I love their percussive stuff. I've made a whole video on Borschter, and I wanted to take a twist on maybe something melodic, just take a chance on their website. So I'm diving into this product here. So this is Tomophone from Clevgrand. As you come down into the editor, you can import your own vocal sample, or really any sample you want. It will detect the note and key and then map that amongst your MIDI keyboard. Uniquely, Tomophone treats this vocal sample like a wavetable, and you can edit how that wavetable is modulated through the gain, depth, pitch, and filter settings. Experimenting with this gives me tons of ideas about how I can use it in future songs. And don't feel like you just need to stick with Serum or Omnisphere because you've seen Nick Mira use it. Pave your own way. Find those weird instruments that maybe not that many people are talking about. Taking the more literal sense of gamifying beat making is literally finding music games. It can be a great way to learn more about your composition and test your mixing skills. I made some games inside of Ableton, and that's somewhere over at the Patreon. I'll list it in the description below. I'd love for you to check it out. But there are so many sites that also offer similar like listening skills and mixing skill based games. Don't forget that emulation is also a terrific way to spark creativity, and I gave some examples in the first episode of this series, as well as gave you guys a free instrument, so go back and check that out in the playlist that I supplied if you haven't already. Of course, you have to be aware of setting yourself up for failure, like I said, but I really did gamify my AI album, which I released on Spotify and other streaming platforms if you want to check it out. It was a challenge that I set myself. The challenge was, could I just see how fast I could make a complete album with AI? So it was making the tracks, the artwork, mix and master, all of that stuff. And I managed to do 2/3 of the heavy lifting with DistroKid, which is today's sponsor. When you sign up, there's a link in the description. You get access to DistroPick, which will help you craft AI artwork almost instantaneously. The same goes for Mixio, which can help you get that track sounding dynamically loud, which is probably what you're after. They have a bunch of tools to help you market your track, and their playlister, which I mentioned in my last episode, is my personal favorite at the minute. If you want to sign up to DistroKid and become a member like myself, then just use the link in the description below. It is an affiliate link, so it's a great way to support the channel, but you'll also get 7% off your first year. As always, guys, thank you so much for swinging by. I really am appreciative of you guys, and I'm really enjoying this kind of new twist, this mini series that I'm doing. So if you vibe with it, let me know in the description below, and let me know what you want to see in future videos. It can be something along the same lines, or tutorials, or something completely different. So yeah, thanks as always, and I'll catch you soon.